I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken. Podcast day 10. He's Tim. Tim's back. I got to do this. Hold on. He's Tim. 31 days. Today, Tim, I didn't think you would want to watch this movie. Boz turned this movie down. We had multiple guests that we asked to watch this movie that weren't able to schedule-wise, but I'm so glad that you got the experience.
Right. And then there's me.
Then there's you. You're finally getting what I'm doing.
Yep.
Sledgehammer, 1983. Quite possibly one of the best shot on video movies ever made. Without giving anything away, once again, Tim, what'd you think?
Great movie. Expectations versus what you get is absolutely fantastic.
So when you think Sledgehammer, you're thinking, okay, Peter Gabriel, or you're thinking a movie where the bad guy is going to be killing people with a sledgehammer. And let's think about that for a second. We got Nail Gun Massacre. We've got Microwave Massacre. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Are those first two real?
Yes. Nail Gun Massacre may be added to the slate, Tim, before the end of this month. I have 2 open spots. So the fact that you just asked if it was real, you may have to experience the magic of Nail Gun Massacre.
All right.
I've seen this movie before. We reviewed it on the audio podcast. I reviewed it by myself. Blake has never seen this movie. I'm glad I can talk about this movie with someone. And you're now 8-9 days into the marathon, Tim, so you understand exactly what kind of horror movies we're going for this month.
I know what you like.
Yes.
I know I'm still not like a horror movie fan, even though some of these like surprise me with that they're not complete crap. But I totally know what you like, and this checks off all the Ronnie boxes, every single one of them.
Crazy looking killer. Don't know what the plot is. Hammered at the very beginning with a sledgehammer, a great weapon. Why would you use a sledgehammer? It's so damn heavy. I mean, there's so many questions in this movie, and I'm watching it, and the movie starts, and you can't open a movie any better than Sledgehammer does. A woman trying to have an affair with a guy that's billed as lover at the end of the movie, and she has to lock her son in a closet. So
I didn't understand why they did the slow motion scene for totally normal mommy has to work time out in the closet time.
Here's the deal. Our friend John McBride told us anytime a shot on video movie goes to slow motion, they're trying to have filler. And the name of this movie probably should have been Sledgehammer Filler, because I would say about 25 minutes of this movie is filler.
Is the absolute best filler I have ever seen in a horror movie. It's the greatest filler.
Let this go to everybody that's watching this. You can find Sledgehammer on YouTube. Go watch it. The beginning of this movie, let me restate it. A woman is attempting to have an affair on her husband. The son, who looks to be 7 or 8, is put into a closet and locked into a closet. And this woman with no conscience, am I saying that right?
Proboscis.
Or heart, leaves him there, walks in there, and has a romantic moment with this guy that she's cheating on her husband
while
with.
She's crapping on the kid the whole time. A little brat's gone. We can do whatever we want. Finally. And the dude's like, yeah, good. Screw that kid.
He's reading the paper while she's in there doing that. If nothing's more 80s than reading the paper. As they're making out, he takes a sledgehammer to the back of the head in the greatest piece of gore you'll ever see, and it just disintegrates his head.
There's nothing cheaper and more, like, the cheapness to amazing ratio is phenomenal with the way that dude takes the sledgehammer to the back of the head. You're like, man, that's the most unrealistic looking thing ever, and it's great.
And then you read the behind the scenes and you realize they really killed him.
Right. And like, what?
How cheap could it have been? And then we get the freeze frame or the slow motion 7-minute death scene for her. Now, the only problem I do have, Tim, is it takes another 2 days before they get back to tell us this story, because we're left with 2 dead lovers, Did the little boy do the killing? Did the husband catch him? What the hell's going on?
My biggest issue was that, I mean, the opening's dark because it is the kid, and he walked in on his mom doing that.
Was it the kid? Was it ever stated that it was the kid that killed the guy and his mom?
What do you not want me to give away right now, Ronnie? Because
Tim, we're not going in order. Okay, later in the movie,
the dude shows up when he's in as a ghost, apparently. Yeah. As a ghost kid, he grows into the adult Sledgehammer murderer in front of cut hair Malibu from American Gladiators. Like he's the kid, and then he turns into the killer. Therefore, he has to be the killer. There's no other explanation given.
Yeah, but when Mike Danton of Deadly Prey gives the Friday the 13th Part 2 speech with the flashlight.
Is that the same guy?
Yes.
Oh, dude, that is.
How awesome did this movie just get?
God, this is like a top 5 stranded on an island type movie. My God.
I didn't know if you were going to pick it up.
Because he's jacked. Like when they get out of the van at the beginning, it's like Bill Kazmaier in Gold's Gym, like just rolls out of this thing.
Number 65 gets out. And then I was like, look, guys, the next 10 minutes of the movie is a van rolling up to this same house where the people got killed. And I shit you not. They unpack this van for 10 minutes. There's a asshole with no shirt on, just like in every, and he is jacked. And I was like, look at this asshole. I go piss. I come back, Tim. They're still unpacking the van. And
they
then
got every single character, though, got their exposition in the unpacking scene. You know what the archetype for each of these people are right off the bat. Ted
Pryor, AKA Mike Danton, is on top of the van for some reason. And I'm like, that guy looks very familiar. Is that the guy from Deadly Prey?
That's amazing.
There's no way. I go and look it up, Tim. It's Mike Danton from Deadly Prey. And I was like, I've seen this movie before, and I didn't realize that was Mike Danton because I hadn't seen Deadly Prey the first time I watched Sledgehammer.
And look, at some point, we really got to do Deadly Prey 2 with the same guy.
I got a feeling Macho Theater's coming back right after October, and we'll get. But anyway, Mike Danton's in this movie, and he's telling this chick. He has a great scene with this chick at the very beginning of the movie. It's like, I don't feel like I'm being very much appreciated. He goes, I appreciate you, baby. And she goes, are you sure? Yeah. Now take my in.
Well, she's like, it's been 2 years. And I'm like, well, the dude's probably like, I'm all like jacked up and glorious now. Like 2 years ago, I was nothing like this. I'm not marrying you. But he doesn't tell her that. But there's an even bigger dude. The Bill Kazmaier guy.
Yes.
What's his name in the movie?
I don't know, but
can we just call him Bill Kazmaier?
Yeah, I want to call him Bill Kazmaier because he does look like Bill Kazmaier, and he's wearing a number 65 shirt. I think it's 65. Hold on, I got it in my notes. Yeah, number 65. He's gigantic. Mike Danton's gigantic, and then you got a couple of smaller, looks like East LA guys that are probably big when they're not standing next to these guys.
So the dude with the mustache. The subplot with him is that he's gay, right?
I think so.
Like, I mean, which is fine, but that's a pretty deep subplot to put into your shot-to-video horror movie, right?
Yes.
I mean, because it's not something they just throw out there. It has different stages. Like I kept saying, is this what they're saying? Is this what they're saying? And there's so much filler. The character arcs are like fulfilled. Like you may hate it and be like, hurry up and get to the good stuff. This is not Mosquito. They make you wait for the horror movie to start.
Yeah. I think you're right because she mentions how you're not having anything to do with me and you don't want to be with me. I think, I never thought of it like that, but when you said it,
she's the hottest chick in the group.
Let me go back. I'm going to be repetitive.
Do it.
The beginning of the movie is very great, how it opens. Then I would say the next 20 minutes of the movie consist of unloading a van and a food fight at the dinner table.
But it works. Like the actors are somehow terrible, like you would expect,
Yes.
but
Awful.
it's not super cringe. Like there's some parts in there, like when he dumps mustard on her, like who would really do that? She would go insane, right? Like that ruins the party. But the way it all comes across, it
Didn't
works.
the Jackass guys dump mustard on somebody in the movie?
Yeah.
It's mustard.
Yeah. I mean, they're just having like this great party. So you can do, dude, what day is this? 9 or 10?
This is day 10.
How many party satanic seances are we going to have in this 31 days of horror?
Really? I mean, I wasn't expecting a seance in this movie. I was expecting I was expecting somebody to show up and kill people with a sledgehammer. I was even expecting Mike Danton to be the little kid from the closet, and he was bringing everybody back there to kill them.
Because they never really explain why they showed up at this house.
Yeah. And then we go into the Friday the 13th part 2 scene where they're around the campfire, except these guys are around a flashlight. And Mike Danton's like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a seance. And immediately Bill Kazmaier is not for this. He's like me. He's not playing around with these demons. And he actually does a seance, but this was all part of a gag. He sent one of the Latinos upstairs with the boombox to like this had been like orchestrated and played out as like a perfect prank. They had recorded like voices.
It's coming through speakers somewhere.
Yeah, and they think they have reached a spirit. And while this is going on upstairs, an actual spirit manifests, and this gigantic looking creepy killer with like a snuff film mask walks in and stabs the guy through the neck.
Okay, so hold on. I want to talk about how this thing is definitely it's a ghost. It's a specter. It's not a physical guy hiding in the house.
I agree.
It's only been 10 years ago. All of these people still live in town, like the lady's husband and all that stuff. It's not like this happened 40 or 50 years ago. Like, it was weird to me. I was like, these dudes probably live down the street. You could just go ask them. It's not like a horrible ghost story. You know what I mean? And it's also not long enough for some kid to go off and grow old and die, right?
Yeah, unless they get 40 years old.
Yeah, are the kids still alive, or is not? Dude's a ghost. The bad guy's a ghost. Sledgehammer dude is not real, sort of. Or at least he has powers. And the only way he could have powers is if he's dead. But it's only been 10 years since this little 7-year-old kid did that.
Mike Danton tells the story of how a woman was having an affair.
Yeah.
She locked her son in the closet, and then they found the body parts out in the woods. The bones were even beat up with a sledgehammer.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly. And he brought up 2 scenarios. One, the husband came in there and killed him.
He was cleared of all charges.
Yeah, and he was cleared of all charges. 2 was an actual killer came in there and killed him and kidnapped the son and took him with him. But he also says the son may have escaped in the forest and sometimes he could return. So, yeah, you're right. The son killed the mother and the lover, and then he ran off in the woods. Or either he died. Or look, is there a scenario where the father actually killed his wife and her lover, and the son died in the closet, and he just deposited all 3 bodies somewhere, and now the dead son's ghost haunts that house to kill anybody with a sledgehammer?
No, because how would the kid even know about the sledge? I mean, no.
Maybe the dad killed the damn son with a sledgehammer,
too. The son is the sledgehammer guy who transported Bill Kazmaier to an alternate dimension behind the door.
Okay, so now let me run another scenario by you. Is there a chance the house that they were screwing in was haunted before? And the ghost, which would explain the tall Andre the Giant hair from 1982 guy.
They show the kid too much.
Okay, listen, though. Right. That he was actually the original killer. They were killed by a ghost, by a supernatural being. And the ghost just takes the kid with him. The kid is still in kid form, but he is now a ghost that haunts the place with the original killer guy. But that wouldn't make sense because you've already brought up that the kid grows into the 7-foot killer there at the end of the movie in front of Mike Danton.
That could be true, except they make zero reference to any of that.
Yeah, well, they're not going to. I mean,
also, why not just walk outside? The thing haunts the house. He's not going outside. Like this isn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre where it's a physical dude, like a person. The dude, the ghost is locked into this house where he can transport you to an alternate version of the house with pentagrams on the wall if he wants to.
No, that's crazy. My last note on here, it's not my last thing I want to talk about. My last note is what you just said. There's like a 15-minute chase scene at the very end with the chick, and he's chasing her from room to room. Why don't she just run outside? They never give us, like, at least in Night of the Demons, they show us that there's no way to escape because it's all just one brick wall. The gate has disappeared. Couldn't they show us that the front door has disappeared and you can't get outside?
So I have an answer for her hallway chase scene. The guy can modify where you're at in the house and what the house looks like. That's proven when he transports Bill Kazmaier, like into that room. So the chick, that could be part of that scene. Like you could make that argument, right? Like she's going through the hall. All of a sudden, the hallway looks real narrow, right? Like they make sure to get that in there. Like that could be part of his powers. He controls the house.
I thought it was just a narrow house. The first thing I thought is there's no way I'm escaping. I can't fit down that damn hallway.
Oh, God. It was the fight between the Sledgehammer guy and Bill Kazmaier, because the whole movie, I'm thinking, there's no way like some dude with a sledgehammer is just taking this jacked up dude out like a punk. And sure enough, when it gets to that part, he makes a pretty good account of himself. Like it's a struggle. You ain't just going to show up and be a ghost and kill this massive dude.
Why?
Too much protein.
This is one of my notes. Why? I made a note that said, this is a supernatural movie. And then I was like, why are they getting the heat on the ghost? The ghost is taking physical pain.
Until he doesn't sell for Deadly Prey guy. How pissed off would Jim Cornette be at the way this dude stopped selling? When like the kid, when he's in kid form, like he just starts like blocking his punches, right? Yeah. And the dude's like, oh God. And then when the chick hits him, it's like he's super vulnerable and he's in the most pain ever.
Except when she sets up the Home Alone trick and it electrocutes his hand, and next thing you know, he's just in the room.
Right.
When Mike Danton punched that kid in the face, that was the best.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Especially now that we know it's Mike Danton.
Right.
Bill Kazmaier is carrying a knife. First off, Bill Kazmaier tries to tell these guys, let's get the hell out of here. And Mike Danton's like, no, we need to take a nap. So they all go to sleep for some reason without leaving. And at the very beginning of the movie, some old man was taking their van. They threw this in at the last second. Hey, I'll be back with your van after I fix it.
And it's running fine. We drove here. You're driving away.
But Bill Kazmaier is all over the house. He goes upstairs through the narrow hallway, and he sees a random little kid, and that doesn't like set him off to run back downstairs.
Hey kid, come here.
He beats on the door, and the next thing you know, he's been transported, like Tim said, to the other side. And when he gets to the other side, I'm pretty sure that's where the two dead bodies are set up and the pentagram on the wall.
Which is weird. Which is weird they threw that pentagram in there.
I don't understand. That was nothing said about that at the beginning of the movie. They never back it up with, that's the reason I'm thinking that house was haunted, that those two people were screwing in.
You think they wanted to put a backstory about how the kid was in league with Satan, but they just couldn't get around to it?
They had, couldn't get around to it. They had an extra 30
they
minutes.
They did. They could have taken out the food fight.
They could have taken out 5 minutes of the food fight or 10 minutes of cleaning out the van.
And they don't show Mustache Guy and the chick getting killed. And and look, don't get me wrong. I thought this movie was great. But horror movie law, as I've seen it, is you show all the kills because that's what the people are there to see. The one by one, there's somebody in the house type murders. And all of a sudden, Bill Kazmaier comes down. They're mutilated. They're dead. Like, what? Like, that came out of nowhere.
How are they hurting a ghost? How are they beating up a ghost? I can't get over that.
Here's what the logic of this movie is this. When he's in kid form, he can do whatever he wants to.
He slaps Mike Danton.
He can no sell. He can beat people up. When he's in bigger form, he can still phase in and out, but you can hurt him.
The bad guy in this movie looks like that thing from Street Fighter. Not Street Fighter, but what is that game with Mike Haggard?
Final Fight?
Yeah, it looks like one of those Andre replicas from Final Fight.
Dude, that's a pretty good call. What was the giant called that fought the Undertaker in that WrestleMania?
Giant Gonzalez.
He's like Giant Gonzalez with hair and a gut.
Yeah, the man. Look, he dresses like my papa. The mask is really good. I know you thought I was going to say shitty, but that mask is so creepy. Like, the best thing about this movie, besides Mike Danton, is the adult form of this ghost killer is really creepy looking. And if you get on YouTube and you type in Sledgehammer 1983, the thumbnail that pops up shows you the killer, and it's like super creepy.
What was your favorite killer kill?
I don't know. I think if I had to say my favorite kill, it's going to be the very beginning of it, the guy taking the sledgehammer in the back of the head. I mean, I thought my favorite kill was going to be Bill Kazmaier killing the ghost when he like stabs him in the gut out of nowhere. Like, he wrestles Bill Kazmaier to the ground, and Bill Kazmaier realizes, I've got a knife in my hand, and he stabs the. Shouldn't there have been more scenes where they stab the ghost and he no-sells it? Because later in the movie, the final girl hits him in the shoulder with a meat cleaver, and he no-sells that. So why did he sell Kazmaier stabbing him in the stomach?
So, I mean, because he's huge. Can you imagine how bad that had to hurt? No, the as great as this movie is, it's only great because of how cheap it looked. Like, it's so much better than movies that had a lot more money into it, right? And I loved watching this movie. The kills suck, except for the guy taking the knife all the way through the throat,
and then
he drags him, and it shows him being dragged, which is kind of a fake out, because that's like the most detail you get in the kill for the rest of the movie. And the way they go about bad guy damage, like, sometimes it hurts, sometimes it only hurts him when it's convenient for the good guys to get away.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only time it hurts. Like, they do try to build him up as this monster who can take all this damage, even though he's supposedly a ghost, but they still are like, you know what? Sometimes you can hurt him, but it's totally random.
The movie ends. You think Mike Danton's been killed.
He's not. And he's got double axe hammers all day.
He is, as Oliver Platt did in Ready to Rumble, he's crowning this guy over and over and over, just like Rip from No Holds Barred. He is, like Tim just said, double axe handles to the face of this bad guy over and over and over again. And then he grabs the sledgehammer and takes him to the ground, and they escape out the front door. And wouldn't you know it, they pan up and you see the little kid looking out. A haunted house movie, Sledgehammer was.
Yeah.
So that's Sledgehammer, 1983.
Was Oliver Platt in Ready to Rumble?
Oliver Platt was Jimmy King in Ready to Rumble.
God, I hate Oliver Platt so much.
I will rule you.
God. But yeah, so the guy's a ghost you can hurt, but he is a ghost and he'll be there forever, is how the movie ends.
So you're going.
What do they tell the police? All their friends are dead. What do you tell them?
Look, me and Blake always assume that the survivors always go to jail.
Okay, because they never explain these at the end of these movies, and that would be a good call.
You're going with the story that the kid was the killer.
Hold on, time out. Let me stop you.
He had to have died, though.
Let me stop you. They state this happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The kid would only be 18.
I know, not 48.
God, is that just cheap movie plot hole?
I don't think we're supposed to think about stuff like that.
I know, that's what I'm saying. A plot hole that you're supposed, not think about.
I guess they didn't think people would ask who this adult is.
Maybe the kid was like, this is what adults are supposed to be like, and that's why he's so dumb when he's in adult mode. He doesn't.
Well, who killed the kid?
He was locked in the closet. Dude, there was a skull in the closet. That's the kid's skull. He never got out. That's why he's left in the house.
Then how did he kill?
Now he's a ghost. Oh.
Yes. So now when you called me an idiot about 15 minutes ago in the review, when I told you the house was always haunted and this big guy's the one that killed him, and then the kid died and got sucked into the hell of the abyss, and that's how he can take the kid form or he can take his original ghost form. That's not really the kid. They could just take the kid's form for the haunted house effect.
Someone's going to have to you always know that is not. No. Someone out there knows, and they're going to have to explain it to us.
Can we get Mike on the show?
Someone's going to have to explain to us, why is the kid a ghost? Is the kid a murderer? And outside of all of that, why could the kid transform to a 30 or 40-year-old man when that's not even how old he would be if he were still alive?
Once again, house was haunted. Kid died in the closet. The ghost has always looked like this guy that's doing the killing in this movie. But once the kid died in the closet, the ghost can take the form of the kid as well.
Okay.
And that's why they never found the bodies.
Okay.
I don't know. Hell, who knows? They never intended for people to have a debate for 30 minutes about Sledgehammer Tim. What are we doing with our life? What are you rating it?
I'm rating this movie.
I can't wait for this.
God, I really like. I didn't skip a second of this movie. It's an 8. It's an 8 out of 10. It's really good. Look, everything we just said bad about it is true, but watching it, it's good. Like, it's a good movie. Yeah, like the Bill Kazmaier, Deadly Prey dude, like all of that works. It works.
This is a 5.8. This is a 5.8.
Why is it so mid?
It's so mid because half the movie is either shots of the house or
they love that shot of the house.
Slow motion chase scenes that we haven't talked about. He walks up the stairs for 7 minutes so they can fill the screen time, and it only goes an hour and 12 minutes. Real quick, Tim, I'm going to IMDb for Sledgehammer, and we're going to see what the IMDb folks thought of Sledgehammer.
No, that's unfair because it's a cheap movie. Tell you what, I also want to know what they thought of Lake Placid.
Okay. So IMDb, out of 1,000 votes, they give it a 3.9 out of 10.
That's ridiculous.
That's low. Okay, just for that, I'm bumping this up 6.3.
There we go.
For Sledgehammer, just because they piss me off. This movie's not that bad when you take in account, and even at a 5.2, I don't think it's bad. I could watch this movie like a half a dozen times a year and love it, especially now that I know my boy Ted Pryor, aka Mike Danton.
Right.
They probably gave Lake Placid some kind of, let's see,
which would be my point. If it's 6 or 7 or higher, then
they get 64,000 votes. Lake Placid gets a 5.8.
All right, that's pretty fair.
Which is about what I gave it, if I remember right, 5.4, something like that.
Don't watch Lake Placid. Watch Sledgehammer on YouTube.
Hit us in the comments. What did you guys, have you even bothered watching Sledgehammer? Give us your rating. Tell us your best parts. Please explain to me and Tim what the hell's going on. Is the house haunted and the ghost is taking the form of the boy? Was the boy the killer at the very beginning of it? Let us know. How awesome was Mike Danton in this movie? ATGNAT at Gmail. Wait, ATGNAT podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up on the social media. We got X. We've got Instagram. YouTube memberships, Patreon, if you want to help support the show. We miss Blake. Tim, thank you. You're doing wonderful.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I need that support. I need that positive reinforcement.
Well, you're doing great. Not many people can survive a 31-day marathon. And even though Boz is giving you a few breaks here and there, I just want you to know I'm proud of you.
Thanks, bro.